Welcome back to MVM. Today we have a review. This one is for Dice Throne Season 2 from Roxley Games. We've played this one a lot. In fact, this was my number 3 game of 2018. It's probably even higher up on your list, Kira.
Oh yeah, it's definitely up there. I've played this game probably more than any other game in last year for sure.
I know we've played it probably a half dozen times just
Easily.
between the two of us.
Easily.
In addition to everyone else we've played it with. So if you guys aren't aware, let's walk you through what Dice Throne is. It was originally released about 2 years ago. In fact, if you check our channel, we did a Kickstarter on the original version of the game, designed by the two same gentlemen that eventually sold the publishing rights over to Roxley. The game functionally is the exact same as Dice Throne Season 1. However, they've gone through a complete overhaul. New characters, 8 new characters in fact, and all the cards you'll be using in the game now have artwork on them as well. So it looks fantastic.
Absolutely, and that's just not to be understated. The art is fantastic and it is everywhere on this game.
What is new in Dice Throne Season 2? What we're going to be showing to you is this called the Battle Chest?
This is the battle chest, yes.
Okay, so the battle chest has all 8 of the characters. That's the version that we both kickstarted,
Yep.
and the version that we're going to be walking you through. Now, they also sell dual packs, which have 2 characters in them, so if you just want to start slow and then slowly build your collection, you can. However, you can buy the battle chest that has all 8 of them from Season 2, not
Yep.
Season 1.
Yep.
All right, so what is new with the new version? The first thing you're going to notice that every single one of the characters no longer have those rectangular boards. Now they have all these cutout die cardboard that actually fold out. Plus, all the different unique abilities of the characters are on here with artwork as well that shows them. Now you have 2 different boards as well. Instead of having one big board with the character abilities and all of the side abilities, they're now broken into 2 different cards themselves, which are double-sided. One side is going to show all the different types of abilities that character has, the die dispersion, and then on the back side, it's going to show you their complexity, how difficult they are to play, as well as if you have any frequently asked questions. They went ahead and tried to discover each of the different characters and what people may ask about them, and they answered them right there on the back side.
Absolutely, it's really great. One of the other new things that you're going to see are companions. So that is new this season. 2 specifically, we have Naira, who comes with the Hunter. So she's going to get her own dial, so that's very interesting. And then you have the Artificer, who has the bots, and those are his companions. These are not treated as players. They are treated differently, so they attack and get attacked differently.
All right, so let's walk you through what you're trying to do. If you haven't played Dice Throne, it is kind of, I've heard someone say it's a battle Yahtzee style game, and that's exactly what it is. You're rolling dice up to 3 times, kind of like King of Tokyo if you've played that game before. You're rolling those dice, picking some dice to set aside, rolling the remainder of them, and then picking any combination back and rolling them a 3rd time. What you're trying to do is you're trying to match various different symbols on your board in order to get those powers to proc, or to activate, so to speak. Each player is going to have 5 unique dice in front of them. These dice are numerically valued 1 through 6, so they're 6-sided dice. But each of the different characters is going to have different symbols, which are going to be located on the actual player board themselves.
Well, one of the things that I think is really nice too is the distribution of those symbols is different. So not all characters have the same symbol through 1 through 3. Some of them only have them for 1 through 2. Some of them have a 5 and 6 that's the same, whereas others only have a 6 by itself that's one particular icon, making getting ultimates even harder later.
Which also feeds into the different abilities of all the characters. Each of these characters are going to have different types of abilities built into their character, as well as all the different types of tokens. If you notice, my gunslinger here has 4 different types of abilities, and these are going to proc when I roll certain things, and they all have different types of things that are going to happen. I have a reload that allows me to add additional damage. I have an evasive that has the opportunity of negating all the damage if I roll the right type of dice. One of the other cool things that are built into the boards is that most of the characters also have a defensive value. So if you're rolling and dealing damage to another player, they have the opportunity to either deal damage back or to prevent some of that damage.
Yep, and throughout the game you're going to have cards as well, and these different cards are going to do anything from change your die face, allow you to add more attack, upgrade the abilities on your player board, including your defense, and in the cases of some characters, a passive ability, which typically happens during the upkeep phase.
Yeah. All right, so we could walk you through the entire game, but we invite you guys to go to MVM Live, which is on our YouTube channel, because Kira battled Ryan twice.
Yes.
And you can see how the game plays. But let's actually talk about a review, because this game is, as I said, it's been out for 2 years now. However, this new Season 2 just was released, and I know a lot of people want to know our thoughts and a lot of people's thoughts about the game. Is it worth upgrading? Is it worth going from Season 1 to Season 2? Should I just buy Season 1? So let's start first with our pros. I'm going to let you go first with one of them.
So one of my biggest pros about this game is that you can have season 1 and season 2. You could just have season 1 or season 2. They all play together. And I think season 1 holds up just fine. It definitely looks a little bit different on the table, but the characters are just as awesome. And I play with the season 1 characters mixed in with the season 2 characters easily.
Good point. I will start off by saying the reason why I picked this game as my number 3 game of 2018 wasn't because it was a Euro. It didn't have any high complexity to it. This game is just flat out fun. It's one of those games that you play and you can just play it for 10 minutes, get to the end, you reset, play new characters, play some from season 1 against season 2. There's an extreme amount of replayability within this game. Plus the game itself is just a fun game. It takes Yahtzee and it adds all of those things that gamers like us enjoy. Adding abilities, adding ways to build out your character, to upgrade your character to do very specific things. And then as you start to learn each of the characters, you start to understand their nuances, the cards within the deck, what things they are very good at, and what things you want to get away from. Plus the more you play, you understand the ability of one character to take on a different character. As you learn, some of the characters are really good against other characters, but they're really bad against other characters.
Well, and that being said, too, some characters pair really well with other characters, too. There are different play modes, anywhere from versus, which is just 1-on-1, 2-on-2. There's another style that's like a King of the Hill style. I will have to say my very favorite as a pro is definitely the versus. 1-on-1, I think, is where this game shines the most.
The other thing I'll say is, yes, Season 1 is a fantastic game, but the art and design in this game, what Roxley was able to do, upgrade all the components, not only with the boards, with the dials, with the game trays that you see Kira holding right there, which are just fantastic. All these sideboards, the tokens, the dials that have art on them, the cards that have art on them, even the sleeves that you can buy for each of the individual characters. The game just looks absolutely gorgeous on the table. And that wasn't the same for Season 1. Although the game, the characters looked great, this is spread throughout all the different components.
Yeah, I would say like you notice it the most, I think, on the player board and the cards, because each of the card spaces on the player board, it looks a lot like the cards themselves. There's artwork behind the text. It's not just plain. You're getting a lot more out of the character. And we love the art. We love the characters. So getting to see them in action, I think, is really nice. And then on top of it, with the game trays upgrade, just unbelievable, especially if you're just going to take a couple characters and run. I do not find that it's as easy in Season 1, though they did have some nice little individual compartment trays, but these can go on their side. You can see this is shaped like a book. I can store this like a book. If I want to, I can store it on side. My components inside are going to jostle slightly, but they're not going to be all over the place when I open the box.
Another pro that I would say is also the ease of play. This goes for both teaching new players how to play, people that don't have any experience with these style of games, being that it has its roots in Yahtzee. You can teach it to just about anyone. However, a Magic player like me who grew up playing Magic, playing competitive Magic, it also has that aspect where you're battling another player. Each player has 50 hit points. You're trying to dwindle that player down. You're doing it with a deck of cards that can upgrade your character and synergize with your dice. So it's got both the enthusiast gamers and also has the very casual gamers that it can pull from.
Absolutely. I think, too, to that point, on the character cards on the back, it's going to tell you the complexity level of the character, which makes it really easy for choosing characters for a new player to the game. Always start off with a low character, start off one without a companion. You tend to find that's really easy way to introduce someone to the game.
Absolutely. Do you have any more pros? I could probably go on forever talking about pros.
Oh man, I think I have pros, but they're almost becomes character specific at that point.
Sure.
I think the tokens that you mentioned that are going to proc in different ways. There's some that you see across characters, but there's a bunch of unique ones that play to each of the characters and really drive the theme home with each one. I can think of one specifically, which is the powder keg for the Cursed Pirate.
Oh yeah.
Which is so cool, because when you've got one of those on somebody, it's kind of like a hot potato. It's going to bounce around from character to character. However, if you get a second one, it's going to blow up immediately, and then they get another powder keg. So it's just kind of like this waiting, and it's a damage that's done outside of the normal damage, which is really cool.
I don't want to drag on the pros too much longer, but there is the one thing you just reminded me of was the Cursed Pirate. This just shows you the flexibility how they can keep expanding. This character is actually a double-sided board. It's the only character like that. And there's a moment in the game where you can actually become cursed and you become a human to a skeletal figure, which means your powers upgrade and do special things, but you're also feeding from your own life. That just shows me there's a lot more that this game can expand into in the future.
Absolutely.
All right, negatives. Let's talk about the negatives. I'll go first. I have two things that kind of fit together. This is a battle Yahtzee style game, so it is completely random in the way that you play. The dice, how they fall is completely random. Just like with any other dice game, yes, you can kind of mitigate that by having certain abilities, maybe upgrading ability that may drop a die value off that you don't need. But in the end, it is random. But that's also the joy in the game too. I like having that where you roll something, you're like, oh my gosh, I rolled an ultimate. I rolled all 5 of my 6s. That's fantastic. But there's also moments where there may be 2 or 3 rolls in a row where you don't do anything.
Yep, definitely been there. I mean, the game is a luck-based game, but the cool thing about it, not to go back to pros, but there's a lot of ways to mitigate that throughout the game. So it's about planning. So you do have to think ahead when you're playing this game a little bit. So somebody with AP, that's definitely a negative because it's going to take them longer. And I would definitely keep someone like that to just a versus game. You don't want to add more players to that.
My other negative, and this isn't really a negative, but it's going to sound like a negative, is that Dice Throne Season 1 to Season 2 is such a huge difference, and it's hard for me to dive back into Dice Throne Season 1. Although I love the characters, Roxley, you guys need to upgrade Season 1. I've heard rumors that it's going to be in 2020, but it's such a wanted thing from all the different consumers, all the different players of this game. They want to see those old characters in this new format, in addition to new characters, and I wish them the best because I think this is a game that could be played for 3, 4, 5 years, maybe even 10 years from now, where people are still playing Dice Throne, but just with new characters.
Oh yeah, my husband and I were just talking. We already have plans for our Dice Throne Season 1. If Dice Throne Season 1 gets redone, we're going to give it to the friends we play with the most so that we can upgrade to the new set. So please do that. That would be great.
I don't have any more negatives. Do you have anything?
I do. And
all right, what is it?
It's also very minor.
Okay.
There's only 2 companions in the new Dice Throne. It's a really cool new addition. I'm looking forward to seeing more companions in the future.
Absolutely. All right, guys, that is Dice Throne Season 2. Big thumbs up from both of us. It is an MVM approved title. Hit my number 3. Where would it fall in your top 10 maybe?
Oh, it's definitely in my top 3 for
sure.
All
right, so that's Dice Throne Season 2. If you guys have any questions, make them in the comments below. Subscribe to us, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and everything else that we do. And we will catch you guys next time.